Hey guys, sorry, we had to juggle around a little bit of where we were going to be doing this at today. So, all right, we're going to jump in here in a second and get rolling. So just give me, all right. So I'm don't have a TV in here with my group. So I'm going to tell you guys just to follow along in unless we want to try to sit like this. You tell me. Oh no, you guys want to come around? Perfect. All right. Let me move over so she can. I'm going to do a share screen here real quick. Today's class, it is, I don't know why the title said the same thing as something we've already done. It's just, that's not the case. So today what we're going to be talking about is lead generating and lead follow-up. Number one, how it's different, how generating business is different than following up. But we're not going to be talking about conversion, which we did on the last class. So in particular, today, as you guys can follow along and see how to find the information in the drive, we are going to be talking about the 3 by and the 5 by. So some of you maybe have seen this before, but I thought it was relevant in the series of lead generating and follow-up classes we have been doing. I wanted to kind of end that as we go into some other topics this month with this. So does anyone know on here what this is, what the 3 by 3 by 3 and the 5 by 5 by 5 is?
How many times you should be calling and following up with someone?
So they both mean something different. And so we're going to go into that. But yes, that's true. It's just another technique that you can be using while generating business and following up. So they each mean something different. And then we're going to jump into some follow-up plans that you guys can be using through command. So two different things here. So the first one we're going to talk about is the 3 by 3 by 3. And what that means is when you receive a lead. So this would be the action that you're going to take once you've received a lead. So this is a little bit different than you've already generated the business, I guess is my point. So at this point, the lead is contacting you. This is best used obviously for internet leads. Mm-hmm. So this is going to be like people that came to your website for some reason, you drove traffic there somehow. And that could be an Opcity lead, a Realtor.com lead, a Zillow lead, a lead from Facebook from running ads, anything that you've done to drive business to you where you would feel like you have to reach back out immediately. So does anyone know what they say, statistics says about how long you have to respond if you don't immediately answer? So they say 3 minutes. 3 minutes. So if somebody calls you from a for sale sign, mm-hmm. or it's an internet lead that you've received the lead, if you don't pick up or get back to them in 3 minutes, I want to say that you've just decreased your odds of working with that person by like 75%. So what that means, I guess, is this: obviously answer your phone. And also when if you're going to pay for leads, whether you're paying for leads because you have a monthly fee, like on Zillow, or you're paying for leads because you're paying a hefty referral fee, like to Opcity or Realtor.com, that's a lot of money to not be able to get your hands on and have a really good shot at working that lead. So I would say that means, pick up your phone and also then be able to get right back. So do you think that it would make a difference if you weren't able to pick up, that you have some kind of an auto text message or something that replies? So that counts. So as long as you have something that even says this: I'm in an appointment right now and I will get back to you soon, that's still considered a response. And therefore you're still likely to capture that lead. It's not that if you can't answer the phone or get back to someone in 3 minutes, you're going to lose the lead entirely. It's just that your odds drop drastically of being able to turn that lead into business. So the 3 by 3 by 3 really means this: you receive the lead and you should call, email, text, call, email, text, call, email, text for 3 days. So that means that I got an internet lead. Maybe they didn't call me. It was just some type of a lead that I got online somehow. I need to do those three. And the reason that we call, email, and text is not because we're crazy stalkers. It's because we want to figure out how they're going to respond. Bless you. What are the chances that everybody likes to pick up the phone?
No.
Right. Not everybody likes to pick up the phone. And some people will never check their email. So when you call, email, and text, what you're doing is you're trying to pull out of them the way that they prefer to be communicated with. So that's why we put that in place. And then you want to do that for 3 days and then move them to a nurture plan of some kind. Chances are they came to you again in the heat of the moment, and depending on their situation is going to depend on how they're going to respond. Based on what they're saying to you, or if they haven't responded, is going to depend on the kind of drip campaign that you're going to put them in. We've got a ton of scripts on how to follow up with people in there. I think we've got a whole packet in the drive in particular that are Boomtown scripts, which can be used for anything. Those are particularly, geared around internet leads. Questions about the 3x3, pretty simple, straightforward stuff. Nothing much more to it. Call, text, and honestly, I would say this. I would leave a message saying, hey, I'm following up from you reaching out to me. And then I'm going to text saying I've left you a voicemail. So I'm always going to refer to the other way I've communicated. And same with an email. Hey, just following up because I hadn't heard back from you. I don't know that it matters what order. I would say, to me, the first thing would always be a call, but not for everybody. So if you're not comfortable calling first, then go ahead and text first. I'd rather you do something than do nothing. If that makes sense. Questions on the Zoom about the 3x3?
Nope.
All right. Moving on. Building your database through your SOI. This is just another technique. Again, I know we taught a class on 150 ways to build your database. We talk about all kinds of different things that you can do. This is a particular plan. So this 5x5x5, it takes a lot of the things that we talk about you guys doing to bring business to you and puts them in a neat little package so that you actually have a game plan of how to follow up. So again, if we talk about, knocking on doors, we talk about for sale by owner, we talk about expireds, we talk about, reaching out to your sphere and telling them that you just got your license, or whatever the different things are that you're doing, holding events, doing social media posts, all the things that you do to generate, business through building your database. It's great if you do all those things. We've got a lot of people that over the years are great at building their database, but where they drop the ball is following up with their database. So your people that you add to your database, your CRM command or whatever you're using, they don't know that they're there. They don't know that you think of them as somebody who would refer you business if you're not doing something to nurture them. And so we'll talk a little bit later about nurturing, but this 5x5 is a great way to stay on track and neatly kind of get a game plan. So as I've said a lot when we talk about time blocking, time block on your calendar 1 to 2 hours a day for lead generating, follow-up, and, database building. What does that actually look like? So I watch so many people say, I put it on my calendar, but what do I really need to be doing? That's really the big question. So you say to do it and you say to put it on my calendar, and now I'm sitting down and if I don't know what that next action is. And that's where I think I see a lot of people struggle. A lot of people don't time block at all, but the ones that do, I feel like they're not getting the results that they're looking for, because then they sit down and say, I don't know who to call and I don't know what I'm doing. That's why we started implementing the Power Hour to kind of create some good habits, and also why we do the scripting. so that you kind of know what to say. But this is a great way to kind of package all that up with a nice little bow to know what to actually do. So here's just a great suggestion of how to organize when you're doing your time blocking for your lead generating and follow-up. A technique basically is what that looks like. So 5 days a week. This is something very simple that we can all be doing. So we'll just start by talking about Monday morning. Monday morning is day one, and I'm going to make 5 calls today. And I'm going to go into Monday morning knowing who those 5 people are going to be. You can just open up your cell phone and start with the A's. And I'm going to call 5 people, and I'm going to make sure that each call does not last more than 5 minutes. And I'm going to use the scripts that I know. So maybe the script is, hey, I don't know if you saw that I recently got my real estate license, and I just wanted to call to see if it would be beneficial to you for me to send you valuable information throughout the year about real estate. And, if you know of anyone thinking about buying or selling, please send them my way. And then mail them some business cards. So that's one script. Another script could be, hey, I put together a handyman spreadsheet and I just thought of you and I wondered if you'd like to have a copy of that. Go ahead and give me your email address and then I'll send it to you. Or it could be anything. You could be inviting those people to an open house. There's so many different things that you can be calling your database about, and you need to come up with the different topics because you don't want to say the same thing to that person repeatedly. Obviously, a real simple go-to is the Ford script. I know most of you know what the Ford script stands for. Anyone can jump in and tell me what the F of Ford stands for? Family. How about the O? Anybody on quiet Zoom today? Occupation. R or D? Anybody out there in Zoom world?
I don't even remember hearing about this. I'm sure I have.
Okay. Well, this is why I talk about this is why you hear me say a lot. So thank you, Nicole, for saying that. This is why you hear me a lot say, I'm sure most of you have heard me say this, and I feel like I'm always repeating myself because everyone comes to different stuff. You come to different stuff. So it's hard to know if you have. So Ford stands for this. Let me stop trying to pull it out of you. Ford stands for family, occupation, recreation, and dreams. So and that particular script is in the drive. So that gives you something to call people that you know about. So tell me how the family's doing. I know that you just got a new job the last time we talked or I saw on social media. Recreation would mean, what kind of vacations are you guys going on this year? Or what are you doing for the holidays? And dreams would be, I know the last time we bumped into each other, you were talking about planning this big trip to Hawaii, or that you were planning on downsizing, or your kids are going to college, or whatever those future things are for those people. That's just an easy go-to script if you just don't know what to say. Right. So then you're going to for 5 days, you're going to make 5 calls that last no more than 5 minutes if you can control it. It's just a simple check-in call. Add them to your database. Add them in, put their name, email address, and phone number, and then, also get their home address if you don't already have it. So you're going to say to get their home address, which obviously we can look it up, but to save yourself a step, if you're on the phone, you may as well ask for it. Love to send you some of my business cards or whatever. Maybe this is the time of the year that you're going to be sending out calendars, and that's a great call. Hey, I just wanted to include you on my mailing list when I'm doing my calendars here in the next month. Go ahead and give me your home address. And you know what? I also noticed I don't have your email address. So go ahead and give me that too, and I'll send you some valuable information throughout the year. That's just a great way to get that information from the people that you already know. And it's not like obvious people that you talk to every day. This is the people that you're reaching out to that are an acquaintance or someone that you know through someone or whatever. Most people do not feel bothered. They feel, oh, wow, I can't believe they thought about me. Like, that's exciting that person actually thought about me and that you cared about them enough to call. So don't look at it like you're trying to take something from them. If you're providing a service of some kind, which is also could just be information, they'll think that you are thoughtful to think of them. So if you've got 5 days and you've got 5 people per day, at the end of the week, you've obviously added 25 people to your database. So in 1 month, you've added 100 people to your database. You're going to set a to-do for yourself. So today's day 1. I'm going to set a to-do besides mailing them my business cards because I said I was going to. I'm going to set a to-do that in 1 month from now, I'm going to make sure that I go on to their social media and like a post, comment, and ask a question. When you ask a question, and again, some of you have endlessly heard me say this, when you ask a question that triggers conversation. Ever notice when people, a lot of people have their birthdays right now, including me. I noticed that the happy birthdays that you just like, and then there's occasionally one that you like, but also comment on their comment because they've said something extra, and it compels you to not just like it because it wasn't just a simple happy birthday. It was something extra, and you feel like I need to say something in reply. And then that kind of generates some conversation, which of course bumps you up in their social media, as well as creates more, keeps you top of mind more, right? And you kind of have more of a conversation. So recently somebody said it was my dog's birthday, and most people just said happy birthday Harper, but somebody said happy birthday Harper. I can't believe how much she looks like my whatever her dog's name was. And it triggered me to say something else because she said something more than just happy birthday Harper. So that's kind of the thing I'm talking about. Just say something more. Everybody likes people's posts, and everybody doesn't look at the who likes. You have to comment, and you have to trigger a question if you want conversation to be had. You could even go further with that in either private message or text. So I'll give you an example. If it's someone's birthday and I know them personally, I'm going to do something more than just say happy birthday on social media. I'm going to text them as well. Just again, another reason to keep you top of mind and using holidays or birthdays, things like that, events in their life that you see. So on day 31, what your morning is going to look like is I'm still making my 5 calls, right? But now I'm also going to spend some time looking at the 5 people from 30 days ago, and I'm going to like their post and comment. Make sense? So in all, you're still only spending about 25 minutes. It's not going to take you that long to do that. And then 30 days from then, you're going to make sure that you send them something in the mail. Obviously, by now, you'll have already sent them your business cards with a handwritten note card, but something else, some kind of a postcard, some kind of invitation, just something in the mail, because they should be on some type of a rotation where they're getting something at least 4 times a year from you in the mail. And then you just kind of keep going through this cycle and repeat it. So really, it's real easy to suddenly get 300 people or more in your database in a couple of months. I mean, like most of you have been licensed under a year, but can you believe how many months have already gone by since you've been licensed? Imagine if you started doing this right away, you'd probably have 500 people in your database right now if you were doing something. And no, none of these days, by the way, is ever going to be more than an hour. None. If you're just following this plan alone, you're not spending more than 1 hour on your calls, text, social media, writing those note cards at all. And that's going to be enough for you to be able to keep the people that you know thinking of you whenever someone's talking about buying, selling, or investing in real estate. Questions about that? Who can share something similar they're doing? Someone who might be implementing this system already. I mean, it is a system. So I would say this, it doesn't really work if you do it a little bit. It's something that you have to have follow through. That doesn't mean that every single day of the work week you have to be doing it. It just means this: if I can't do it on Thursday, now I'm doing 10 on Friday. Or if I'm out of town 3 days, then I'm going to make it 7, 7, and 7 to make up for the time that I didn't do it. It can snowball really quickly if you don't stay caught up. Quiet out there in Zoom land. So questions or sharing any opinions or stories about that with anyone out there?
I feel like I struggle with being consistent.
Yeah. When you start to see the benefits of it, do you think that would make a difference of helping you be consistent?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. So if you're not being consistent, Nicole, do you think that you could just double down on it the following week?
Yeah, I'm working on it.
Okay.
I'm trying to get there.
I mean, it is all the things that we're doing that brings us a paycheck later. It's hard because we're one of the few professions where you're not going home with a paycheck on Friday. So what's funny to me, though, I always find it to be interesting, is if you worked for a company and you had to come into an office from 9 to 5 and they gave you a list of things to do, and 2 hours of the time they gave you a job like this to do, and you made a paycheck at the end of the week, you would do it. It would be part of your job duty. So it just blows my mind why people are willing to do something for somebody else's business, but not for their own. Is it because we're not self-motivated? We're not our own best boss, or we procrastinate? A combination, I think, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Well, also they don't want to do stuff they don't like doing.
I suppose. But what do we like to do? And so thank you for bringing that up. I think about that too. So don't get me wrong. There's an occasional time I get a call or a text message like I did this weekend from my buyer from a long time ago. They pop up occasionally and they wanted to see a house on Sunday that was an hour away from me. And I was excited to show it to them. It was a $600,000 house. But I got to be honest, when the agent texted me back and said the reason we declined the showing is because we've accepted an offer, I was a little happy. Isn't that terrible? I should have been disappointed. My feeling should have been, I want to go show this house because I want to make an offer. Right. But instead, I thought, oh, I just got my Sunday back. So if you don't like showing houses and you don't like listing houses and you don't like making calls and you don't like doing social media and you don't like knocking on doors or talking to strangers, then I guess the real question is are you in the right profession? No. Right? So let's talk about that for a minute. So what do you like to do? What do we like to do with our job description? Who can just shout out 2 things that they actually like to do with this job?
I like the appointments when we go on the appointments and actually talk with people about working with us or any referrals and things like that. And I also like showing homes.
The appointment is what you're saying. So like out there showing the houses. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Or just at an appointment like we did last week when we made the calls. And then I have appointments every day this week. So I enjoy that part of the process. I think the initial reach out is always the hardest for me. And then once I get all these appointments, I have to do better at really tightly time blocking. And I get all bumbled up with what I already have going on, whatever I have listed, whoever I'm working with buyers. And then I'm getting these appointments and I have like almost more than I can fit in my calendar, so to speak. And I don't handle that well. I have to do better with time blocking, I think, to handle all that well.
Yeah, that's great. Anybody else?
I like getting buyers started. I like first time home buyers, the ones that don't know anything. So that way they're easier to me. People don't like them. The ones that bought already are a little bit more challenged because they know when they bought, not now. I like the consultation. I'll sit down with all of them.
That's what we're going to be talking about today in the team meeting. So good timing. Yeah. That's awesome.
I like the consultations. Everyone should be doing consultation regardless of what season of their buyers are buying or sellers are selling.
Yeah. People need to be, I hate to use the word schooled because it sounds like a derogatory comment, but they need to be schooled on the market and what to do.
I almost say groomed up a little bit. Like they need to be they need to be refreshed.
Yeah, there's a great word. Yes, I like
because what was happening 3 months ago was definitely not happening now. It's even.
And isn't this true? Every transaction is also different. So a lot of clients think that, well, this is how it went when we sold my house last week even. And this is how I want it to go on the transaction that I'm buying because I'm using that as a reference. So yeah. Anybody else? What do you like? Tell me one thing that you love about this job other than what you've heard so far.
Meeting people, the networking. You just never know who you're going to meet.
That's true.
Sorry, I'm getting ready to come into the office. That's why.
Oh, you're fine. You're good.
That's a big thing in networking, getting out there. open houses. That's why I love open houses. That's why I do so many.
Too. I love open houses. I do love them.
Awesome. That's good. Danny or Alex, tell me what you like about your job.
Hi. Oh, Alex, you go first.
Yeah.
I like that I get to talk to so many new people. That's also why I like open houses, because I door knock and it's always scary at first, like getting started door knocking. But then I start having nice conversations with people. We talk about other people who might need my help. And yeah, I just really enjoy that.
Awesome. Danny?
Yeah, to go along with what Alex said, I totally agree. I think one of the things that I enjoy the most is creating the connections that I have created in real estate with clients. Like yesterday, it was funny. And like to also go along with what Alex said, just calling people or door knocking, like I've done a lot of door knocking. I've done a lot of open houses. I've called a lot of people, but I kind of strayed away from calling people. And yesterday when we had our power hour, Janice was like, I don't hear a lot of people calling anyone. And I'm like, oh God, I guess I'll call some people. So, just calling like my old boss at, like the old job that I was at like 3 years ago, like I was like, I don't know if she really likes me. And then I called her and we talked together for like 10 minutes and it was really nice. She probably won't be using me because I like used everything in the book that I could to, get her up on like a plan to see like market value in her area. And she said no. But it was a nice conversation nonetheless. One thing I enjoy too that I've implemented in my fourth quarter is to keep track of everything and keep organized. I write down like in like a planner, like what I need to do for today, with what aligns with my schedule, and just getting that dopamine release of checking things off. That's nice too. So staying organized and those connections is what I like about real estate.
Perfect. Thank you. So with everything everyone said, there's still something that you have to do to get to that point. So the reason that there's inside sales associates that teams use, or companies like Cyberbacker that provide that service, is because that's the last thing that most of us want to do, which is making the calls to generate business or making the calls to follow up with business. But remembering this, if you have a game plan, and it will make it so much easier. So like even with Danny's example with calling someone that he knew who was an ex-boss that he wasn't even sure liked him or not. If you called them just to say, hey, it's just me, I just wanted to call and see how you were doing, or I'm just checking in, or hey, I sell real estate, can I bother you to help me out to, getting a referral from you, those are kind of uncomfortable conversations if you don't have a plan. So this is why today we're going to lead into talking about nurturing and following up, because I'm probably not going to make the calls or continue to make the calls if I'm not getting some results I'm looking for. And the result I'm looking for isn't necessarily an appointment. It's just a kind conversation that doesn't feel uncomfortable, right? So am I going to continue to do that if I constantly have bad conversations? Probably not. So the way to kind of keep yourself on track to not have a bad conversation that makes you feel uncomfortable or like you're being pushy is to, one, know who you're calling. It's not random, guys. It's not random. And also know what you're saying. You have to know, why am I calling them? If I called every person, if just by chance I happen to have a phone number for everybody on my street, I don't know all those people. I don't, but I could say, hi, this is Gina from down the street, blah, blah, blah. My house is the one with the blah, blah. I don't know most of those people, but we have some kind of a connection. And if I just don't know what I'm saying, how's that call going to go? How am I going to get to the result I'm looking for? That's why having a plan and knowing what I'm saying and scripting on it is going to make a huge difference. So practice it a couple of times of what you're going to say. And then just getting a game plan in mind of how to nurture those people. Let me jump over real quick. And we talk about that, and that's why we're doing the power hour once a week. So I'm gonna expect that everybody come to power hour this week with at least a list of 5 to 10 people they're planning on reaching out to. And then one of the scripts that we've been practicing, that's going to be your calls for that day. And then, roll into it. Let's see. I wanted to go to this one. Yep. All right. I'm just going to quickly go through some of these, and then we're going to stop and talk about a few and going through. Here's another database script that I just wanted to point out to you all that's in here. So be aware that there are scripts throughout the Google Drive folders and not just in the folder that says scripts. Let's see. Go to the one I want to. Okay, so this is a part of, this can be, and I would love for everyone to, if you're going to do this, print this stuff out. It's there for you. Use it like a checklist. Use it like an example. So if I'm sitting down and I'm planning my week, Sarah, I know you're an organized spreadsheet fool. So, so tell me, when you go into planning your week, are you planning who you're reaching out to by the week, by the day, by the month? Like what does your process look like?
I go 2 weeks ahead. I'm even that crazy person now. I learned from watching someone out west. I've been planning out my outfits now.
I love it.
So that way I don't have to
think about it.
Everything's done on Sunday. But I also follow the DTD too.
Okay.
So I just constantly rotate that. And now I'm starting to incorporate writing birthday cards monthly and giving $1 lottery tickets.
Oh.
So that's also
nice.
And it makes them call me that.
Yeah. I love
Say
it.
thank you or a text or something.
Yeah, that's awesome. And it's working. I mean, even in the short time that you've been back to KW here, I mean, you've had a good amount of sales and you've been top producer several of the months, and you kind of had a clean slate when you came.
I did.
So
first time being solo.
Yeah. And so like, that's something, so don't look at, as you guys are new, don't make assumptions. She's been an agent for a few years, so that's why. That's not why. It's because if you don't do the work, the business doesn't come. If you stop any top producing agent, if they stop doing the things they're doing, it will slowly dwindle away. So a lot of the things from the day one when I first met you, which was, I'm going to say February.
Yeah. I came back February 7th. I think I met you the following, I know dates, I'm weird.
Yeah. That's okay.
It was the following week. So yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And so you put your plan in motion and added to it. It seems to me, from observing, you had a plan, you went through phase 2 of coaching, you added things, and then you started to build. And then as you're building, then you can afford, by afford, I don't just mean financially, but you can afford, because now you know what's working, to add another layer and then add another layer.
Well, it's constantly, especially 3 months ago, we were in one market. Now we're in a completely different
Correct.
market. So you got to adjust and pivot.
Yep.
And that's why I'm pivoting.
Well, you were always doing your calendars for sports and things like that. But what I've seen you do, you're adding a different social media, another level of things like that. You've gotten now listings and enough buyers that you can have your social media filled with things that have to do with sales and congratulations and welcome to my open house and all of those things. Those things come from the hard work that you put in. And it didn't take you that long. Like, it really kicked off relatively quickly for you, I feel like.
Well, also too, it's being surrounded by people that are high level producers.
Yes.
So I'm in the office all the time.
Yeah.
That's something I'm adamant about. I'm adamant with my group that they need to at least come in 3 times a week.
Yeah. And so you guys hear that coming in, and I know, and we'll give grace to those who are at their other job. And I appreciate that you guys zoom in. So please don't think we're always beating up on you when we say this. But if you can come in, you should come in. And if you don't know what to do when you're in and there's no one there you're talking to, that's why we have such a great group on our Viber chat of people that are interacting. See who's coming in. If it helps you more, like some people like to go work out by themselves, and some people like to go work out with a buddy. It gives them more accountability to do it as a group, or it just seems more fun that way, or whatever it is. Reach out, say who's coming in today. I'd love to, sit down and do some lead generating with you. So it's a great tool that you guys have access access to just from our chat. All right. So here's just some suggestions on the who. So when you're building your database and you're starting on, gosh, I don't even know where to begin. This is some examples, of course, of the who here. Then I want to jump over. I'm going to run out of time real quickly here. And then putting those people in different touch campaigns. As I said earlier, we've got some agents that are so fantastic about building that they're doing all kinds of things to have leads just flowing to them. But if they don't have a game plan of what they're going to do with those leads in some way to have touches and follow up, it's not going to bring them future business. And it's future business that they didn't even know that they lost. So who can tell me then the difference between what I'm talking about here with nurturing and just basic follow-up? Somebody on Zoom.
This is where I struggle, so I can't answer.
Anybody else out there? What's the difference of the time I'm spending on lead generation and the time I'm spending on follow-up?
Well, lead gen, you're trying to get new business. Follow-up is following up with clients you already have.
Yeah. And so isn't it true we can be lead generating with people that we know? So don't mistake that. So when I say lead gen with your SOI, you could say, yeah, but is that follow-up because that's someone I know? No. You can be lead generating with the people that you know, obviously, because you're calling them for their future business and referrals. Follow-up is this, and I think this is where a lot of us get caught. Follow-up is replying to. Follow-up is I need to reach out to my top 3 people that are looking to buy houses who I've been showing houses to this month. That is not lead generating. So many people get so wrapped up in their follow-up that then in a month from now, when all of those people that they turned into a transaction are pending and closed, you have to start all over again. So
I did this. I gave moms before the end of September, and I followed up with all 50 of them yesterday to make sure that they were still alive.
I love it.
Because a lot of them don't have green thumbs, and they're like, we're trying hard to keep it alive.
You know what, and I love that. You know what someone just recently told me about mums, which I love this, and I had never thought about it, and I haven't done it, but it made perfect sense. They said that to water a mum, you should submerge it in a bucket.
In water.
So that's what I followed up with. I'm like, if you're not doing well, do this.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh gosh.
And it makes sense because the reason why is when it rains, the water just falls right off, or when you water it with the hose, unless you get it in there, the dirt's not getting wet. So if you keep it in the pot that it came in, it has those holes. So that would be a great idea to call. And I love that.
And then I also said, oh, send me a picture of where it's at in your house, in your yard. So they're not bullshitting me.
Yeah. Yeah. I love it. And so that's follow-up because you've already had generated that business. You already generated that call and you're already actively with dropping something off of their house. So that would not go on my checkbox of lead gen.
It's a lead follow-up.
That's a lead follow-up. Anybody else? So tell me what are your daily activities that you've been spending time on that you think is lead gen, but really it's lead follow-up? Yes. Go ahead.
Okay.
Anybody?
Well, this question I can answer real quick.
I said, tell me the activities that you think that you're doing that's lead gen, but really it's lead follow-up.
Okay, so here's a question. So a lot of my people, sorry if I cut someone off.
You didn't. Sarah was just, would you shut that? Yes. I feel like I talk so loud. Okay. Sarah was just leaving. Go ahead.
So after I have my open houses, when I reach out to everyone that attended, I send them that little video. And then this is where I feel like I struggle. So I'll send them that video, and then a couple days later, or actually I send them a note card too, like a thank you card for attending the open house. And I feel like I've never heard back from anyone. And I don't know what I'm doing wrong, or if I'm not doing anything wrong and they're just not ready to make a move. But I do follow up after that as well. Like I do call and ask them if they want to be added to the home search. And then I just feel like I never get any responses.
Yep. So here's why. Two things. One, the expectation that someone from open house is going to call you back is probably, again, I don't know what the exact stats are, but let's just say it's out of every 100, 10 of them are going to reply.
Okay.
So knowing what you should be expecting your return to becomes very helpful to not be disappointed and discouraged.
Okay.
And just like with everything else, it's a layering thing. It's not you're going to get an immediate response. It's going to be also this. You have to have something that hooks them if you want a response. Because here's what happens. If I'm a consumer out there looking to buy anything, and I went and looked at something, let's just say a car, and I'm not ready right now, and someone just checks in and I don't need anything, I'm not going to respond. But if they're hooking me with something else that causes me to respond, then I'm going to respond even if I'm not ready yet. So one, Nicole, I would establish at the open house, getting them set up in a search already.
Okay.
And then your follow-up isn't, can I set you up in a search? The follow-up is this, I have set you up in a search, and I'm just calling to follow up to make sure that you've been getting the emails and if I need to tweak anything in your criteria. Oh yeah, and by the way, I saw that house over there on Pearl Road that looked really nice. Did you want to see it?
Okay.
So now you're already getting them, you're being proactive and you are just setting them up in a search. And the follow-up isn't, do you need anything from me? The follow-up is, I just need to know if the search is correct. And also I saw that great house over there on, and just go through the search and find one that looks similar to the open house or looks like something that you think that might be of interest, or it doesn't even matter if it does or not, depending on the person. Maybe you've already developed enough of a relationship that you kind of get an idea of what they're looking for, but maybe you didn't. And so pick whatever you think is the best house and then mention it. More people are likely to actually respond to a specific house, not just a follow-up of the overall email that you sent them. So I'll give you an example. So my website just changed. Gosh, I'm like pausing and freezing. My face is in a different spot than I'm looking at. There it is again. Anyway, it's freaking me out a little bit. Anyway, there's like a delay on the camera. Anyway, stop looking at myself. That's the moral of the story. Anyway, I switched websites. And so I needed to reach out to a client of mine who's been set up in a search. And my reach out to her was, hey, Carolyn, I just wanted to let you know that the old website has come to an end and I set you up in the same search, but through my new website. That's all I said. That's all I said in a text message. It triggered her to go look at houses on the site and then call me to see one. And I didn't even say a particular house. It was just a reminder that, hey, I'm here and I'm sending you stuff. And then she went and looked and then she found one she wanted to see. So again, it just depends on where the people come from and how you're following up. But I would say that's a combination of follow-up and lead gen. I mean, sort of you already generated the lead because you met them face-to-face at open house. And now you're just trying to turn that lead into someone that you can work with. But also the follow-up portion of that is going to be dependent on what kind of value you can provide them.
Okay. And then I guess another thing I struggle with too is if you haven't gotten a response like after numerous attempts, is that
15 times? 15 times is what they say that you should reach out before you give up.
Okay.
And honestly, I still wouldn't give up. I would just put them in some kind of a nurture campaign that's kind of more of a light touches throughout the year.
Okay. And then if we don't have their phone number or email, we can still do like a nurture through a text message, like through command.
Yep. And then my game plan then, so maybe this week, if I'm putting together my calendar of what I'm going to focus on for my calls this week, maybe one of those weeks or days is I'm going to focus on all the leads I have that I only have email addresses and I don't have phone numbers, and vice versa. And then I'm going to follow up on all the people that I have their phone number, which is probably everybody in my cell phone, and I don't have their email addresses. So now my game plan is for my 5 calls Monday through Friday, it's going to be call everybody in my phone that I can, 25 people. And my goal is get their email address. And using a proper script to be able to make that happen. So jumping in here for the 36, a lot of you hear me talk about touch campaigns. So in here goes into great detail about different things that you should be doing for touch campaigns, starting with a 36 touch. So that would be 4 phone calls, 26 touches, which would be a bi-weekly email that you can be sending them. That email can consist of something with content and something like a just checking in and saying hello. But most of that email, could be this, a market snapshot of what they're either looking for or of their area. Who doesn't like to know what the house around the corner for them just sold for? That's setting them up in a market snapshot. That right there is every other week email that they can be getting, or at least a monthly. So there's 12 if you do it monthly right there. The others can be flyers that you create and command and designs. That could be the whole body of the email, and it could be about anything. It could be seasonal. Honestly, I don't know why people don't make it real easy on yourself. If you created content for your social media, you've already created content that you can send in the body of an email to your database. Why not do both? That really hits them a second time then. Now they saw it on social media and they saw it again in an email, even as they're passing by and deleting. Other touches would be invitations to events, even inviting them to your open house, and promotional mails, calendars, marketing, things like that. Everyone in your database should be in some type of a touch campaign, everyone. If you want the most out of that database, they should be set up in a touch campaign of some kind. How many of you guys are already doing that? More scripts? Trying to jump ahead. What I'm looking for here.
I just got my touch campaign going.
Oh, good. Awesome. I know we had talked about that a couple weeks ago, or that could have been last week. My days
Yes.
blank. Yeah,
Yes.
perfect.
Yep. And I think that Friday is when Lynn and I got it all sent out. So now it'll go for a month. Now I'm working on December, and I meet with Lynn tomorrow to get that set up. So pretty excited about that. So that goal was met.
On that too. So that's great with content. I'll tell you something that I do. I create content for a quarter at a time. So if I'm going to take the time to sit down and create a post or create a mailing or create an email, whatever that content is, for me, if I'm already in the groove of doing that thing, I may as well just stay right where I'm at and create for the whole quarter. I love that you got it started and got it out. So I'm not suggesting you did the wrong thing. So I would get the first one out immediately, and now you have 4 weeks to then create the whole next quarter. And what I do is I put it on my calendar. So for example, on my calendar in the month of September would have been create the content for the last quarter, and so on and so forth. So in December, it'll be on my calendar to create content for the next quarter. And then I make sure that I put that in my calendar someplace to be able to focus a couple hours on doing that. Identifying your sphere. So I thought this was a great worksheet, guys, that you can be putting things down on to kind of keep track of what you're doing. It's real easy to think that we did a lot of work. And then when you start putting your numbers down and answering these questions, you realize, gosh, it looks a lot less than I thought when I was just making assumptions about the business that I was doing. So it's just a great little checklist of things that you can be tracking for yourself. If you're not tracking what you're doing, you're not going to know exactly what works and what doesn't. Here in this folder also is some examples of different things you can be doing. Just quickly going through because we've got about 5 minutes left. Different suggestions on content and creating different touch campaigns there as well. So I'm going to do a stop share. That is all in the folder in the drive. Tell me what questions, thoughts, who's doing what do we have? We've got about 5 minutes left for that. Such a quiet group today. All right, guys. Well, or anything about anything that's going on that you have questions about.
Nope.
All right, guys. Well, I hope to see you all at your different power hours this week. And then we do not have group scripting this Friday, but we do next Friday. So I will see you guys, if not before then, on Monday for Dominate Your Week.
Thanks, Gina.
Thanks, guys.